Well, let's get some analysis now with Mehmet Celik, who joins us from Istanbul. He's a managing editor at the Daily Sabah. Great to have you back with us, Mehmet. It's interesting, among what President Erdogan had to say at the summit, he pointed out the fact that the world is bigger than the so-called permanent 5 members of the United Nations, something that really is highlighted at this summit because it is a grouping of nations that does not include any so-called Western nations. Explain to us why this seeker grouping would be so important in this current geopolitical climate.
Well, of course, given the fact that the world is facing a huge challenge at the moment in the aftermath of COVID with the Ukraine and Russia conflict at the center of Europe and Asia and Africa, and basically the whole world is being affected by it. Now, President Erdogan frequently states his motto of the world is bigger than 5 because he believes that the world's current structure, the global governance, does not serve all members of the international community, their security or stability in different regions. And President Erdogan argues with this motto that the world's destiny and its fate is left into the hands of the 5 powerful countries, and that this is not necessarily in the interest of the whole international community. And most often, it actually serves in the interest of 1 or 2 members at the expense of the others. So President Erdogan always argues that this has to actually be revisited and restructured, reorganized so that it can actually serve the global stability. The issues can be handled at a faster pace. So this SICA summit actually serves as an alternative platform to where the leaders can discuss this restructuring. Of course, as historically, Turkey has been very Western allied, but with its recent initiatives in Central Asia and its region in the Middle East or in Europe, it has been a key active player. So this is a great platform for Turkey to push forward the world is bigger than 5 motto and seek support for establishing or revisiting this unjust structure of the global governance. President Erdogan has been a key figure in issuing remarks when it comes to finding a solution to Ukraine and Russia crisis, and he believes that the very foundation of this UN Security Council, for example, is one of the roadblocks in finding solutions to conflicts, be it in Ukraine, or and Russia conflict, or being conflicts elsewhere around the world. So this platform, I think, will serve to a great interest when it comes to constructing or rebuilding this narrative about the world is bigger than 5.
And Mehmet, as our correspondent in Astana was explaining, we are expecting this meeting between the Turkish and Russian presidents. We know Ankara has really been one of the few countries that has kept up this dialogue with Vladimir Putin. If this meeting does happen, what are you expecting the 2 leaders to discuss?
Well, no doubt, Ukraine and Russian war, Russian invasion of Ukraine will be at the very top of this agenda, of this meeting. Of course, if we were to make it more detailed topics within the Ukraine and Russia conflict, establishing some sort of platform where the 2 leaders can meet is something that President Erdogan will be pushing for. Also, the energy crisis. And yesterday, it was an interesting proposal where President Putin said Turkey could be an energy hub to address the energy crisis in Europe. I think this is also something that will be discussed. But the 2 of the main agendas will be ensuring that this diplomatic channels are kept open and diplomacy remain on the table is something President Erdogan will be pushing forward, as he already stated earlier in the day, despite the hurdles, despite the rising tensions in the war. I think the war has entered into a new phase, given the Crimea bridge blast, and the recent attacks on Kiev, the world has entered into a the war has entered into a new phase, particularly with President Putin's nuclear threats. But despite all these, I think one thing that Erdogan will be pushing for is to ensure that the diplomacy remains on the table. And of course, no doubt, the Ukraine crisis will be at the very center of President Erdogan, President Putin meeting this afternoon.
Okay, Mehmet Celik from the Daily Sabah, always great to get your analysis. Thank you again for joining us.